All right, a very good morning wherever you are watching us from. Your right on time. This is Kirk in the morning, where we take a review of what has been happening through the week and also talk matters to do with politics in regards to what has been happening in the new era of the Ruto presidency. We'll be talking much about that later on as we continue this program. Remember, it is the 12th of September 2022. Feel Good Friday. Welcome aboard. My name is Chris Sambo. Later on in the program, we'll also be interacting with the Manuel Music to get to know much about him. But before that, we'll talk matters to do with politics. So remember, we are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube at Kirk TV Kenya. And also you can send in your feedback through our social media pages and also our SMS number that will be scrolling right at the bottom of your screens in a short while. But as we always do, welcome aboard. Let's take a look at what is on the traffic as we also take a review of what has been written in the newspapers this morning. All right, and as we take a review of what is in the roads this morning, just to kickstart our morning, I want to take a look at one major road, that is the Mombasa Road, which doesn't look so much good. I can see some different traffic snarl-ups at different points, owing to the fact that it is a Friday. Perhaps many people in the move. Nairobi Expressway now looks so much clean. It's very clear. So if you're using Nairobi Expressway, then you are guaranteed of an expressway all the way to where you are going to. And just take a look at yet another road, that is Thika Road. Thika Road doesn't look so much good, right? From when you get in from Survey all the way through Talii to the junction connecting Muthaiga, Kiambu Road, all the way to Pangani, entering the Central Business District through Ngara. Doesn't look so much good. That is Thika Road, which is looks so much congested this morning. And just taking yet another look on another major road, that is Ngong Road, doesn't look so much good because there is some different traffic snarl-ups at different points from the map that I can see here, and right from each and every part of it, there is a short snarl-up that is causing traffic in Ngong Road. So if you're using Ngong Road, then you better avoid it, especially on the junction of Mbagathi Way, connecting through Valley Road, descending through Upper Hill to the Central Business District. And just taking a look at the Central Business District, doesn't look so much good. A lot of movement this morning. It's a Friday, so you expect each and every person to be making a rush to make sure that they conclude their business on this Friday. So there is so much movement at the Central Business District. So if you can be able to avoid the Central Business District, then it will be of your importance this morning. That is what is happening on the major roads. We'll also be taking a look later on if there's any change. But for now, different snarl-ups at different points. Thika Road doesn't look so much good. Ngong Road as well. And also Mombasa Road looks so much good, but not until you get right from the entry from Nyayo Stadium getting to the CBD through Haile Selassie Avenue. That is what is happening on the roads. Let's take a look at what is in the newspapers this morning. All right, and taking a look at what the papers have written this morning, let me begin with the Daily Nation. The Daily Nation, the top of the top page, has the face of the president, that is William Ruto, and the caption there being Ruto's hard choices on economy. President Ruto's bold action to scrap the petrol subsidy has bred public discontent following a surge in prices, with the expected ripple effect on consumer prices, but could pay off in the long run should the decline in global crude costs continue. That is a story which we'll also be talking about in our discussion this morning in regards to the choices, the hard choices of the president now, William Ruto, on reviving the economy. The first move being scrapping off the petrol subsidy, which has now raised concerns from Kenyans in regards to the rise in the fuel prices. That is a story there written by the Daily Nation. You can grab your copy and then get an in-depth of it from page 6 and 7. On the middle of the Daily Nation top page is a story there. Raila revisits Supreme Court ruling, a reference to what the Azimio Moja kingpin talked about yesterday, saying that despite being discontent by the ruling of the 7 Supreme Court judges, he accepted, but still owing that there's some correction that should be made. And that is a story there by the Daily Nation on page 4, which talks about that, and in-depth of it going all the way into page 7. And page 4 talking about Raila takes a swipe at the Supreme Court as Nasir is sworn into office. That is a reference to the swearing in yesterday of Mombasa Governor Abdul Samad Nasir. And that is what the Daily Nation has written on its top pages this morning, the bigger stories in that. And for the Standard newspaper, talks about how night talks shaped fuel prices. That is the untold story about their life to the explosive nature of petroleum matters, and keen to avoid supply disruptions. President William Ruto agreed to a no-holds-barred meeting with select oil majors to gain an insider view ahead of his inauguration. In the meeting, the subsidy debate took center stage. That is a revelation there of the discussion that the President William Ruto had before his inauguration, trying to face the reality, that is the rise in fuel prices, because that was a nightmare that he expected, and now it has unfolded. So which way forward? We'll be talking about that in a short while. And the Standard newspaper, they are breaking down how events unfolded on the Saturday of September 10th, where President-elect at that time, William Ruto, met with select oil majors for candid talks. And on Tuesday, September 13th, Ruto is sworn in as the 5th President of the Republic of Kenya, and then declares subsidies are unsustainable. Then on Wednesday, the September 14th, President held talks with EPRA and ministry officials on new fuel prices. Thursday, the September 15th, more day-long talks between government officials and oil firms after uproar over price increases. That is the entire discussion surrounding the rise in fuel prices in the new review by EPRA. And then the in-depth of that story goes on page 4 and 5, while on page 7 talks about the Jubilee Party cries fall over nomination slots, something that has been raising concerns, but the IEBC has insisted that it will not be changing the names of the nominated names submitted to them. And that is what the Standard newspaper talks about. Let me get a glimpse of what the People Daily is talking about this morning. And that People Daily, on the contrary, has a top story as tough task for Ruto on cabinet list. Who in, who's out? President made many promises ahead of polls, but now he has to balance various competing interests like gender and regional balance, satisfying allies and newcomers. That is the big task facing the President William Ruto on the cabinet list. Who is to come in and who is to leave? That is what awaits in the next few days as we see what will be coming out of his cabinet. And also, Raila is out at Supreme Court, a duplicate of a story that written by Daily Nation and the Standard. And also the page 2, 3 of the People Daily talks about the families now, spending power hit as fuel, electricity prices rise. That is a story of concern as well. We'll also be trying to look at what effectivity has by putting away the fuel subsidy, and on the long run, will Kenyans benefit from that? That is a discussion that we'll be talking about in a short while. And just so many stories written by the People Daily, but the highlight of all is tough balancing act as Ruto crafts his cabinet team, and there's so many speculations and predictions, but we wait to see who will be in the present cabinet. And that is the story there by the People Daily. You can be able to get your copy and see what is written in depth right there. And that is what is in the newspaper this morning. And right in a short while, we'll be coming back with our discussion this morning, the shaping of the Ruto government. What do we expect from the cabinet list to also the way forward on reviving the economy? So welcome aboard, and remember we are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube at Kirk TV Kenya, and you can also leave your feedback. Be part of this conversation. So I think we will be taking a very short break, and then when we return back, we'll be now getting into a discussion. My guest already here in studio will be talking matters to do with the shaping of the Ruto government in a short while, so don't go far away.
Are you looking for a university that matches your drive and ambition? Choose ZTech University. We offer market-driven programs ranging from master's, bachelor's, diploma and certificate levels in the schools of ICT, Media and Engineering, Education, Arts and Social Sciences, and the School of Business and Economics. Enroll today for September 2022 intake and enjoy a vibrant student experience, ultra-modern and well-equipped facilities, experienced faculty, and a place to pursue your dreams and ultimately change the world. ZTech University. Invent your future.
The Presbyterian Teachers College Rubate is now offering training and upgrading of P1 and ECDE certificates to diploma, and hereby invites all applicants for the September 2022 intake in the following teacher education programs: Diploma in Early Childhood Teacher Education, DECTE, required grade discipline in KCSE. Upgrade of P1 certificate to diploma, upgrade of early childhood teacher education ECDE to diploma. The reporting dates are as from 12th September to 12th October 2022, with the option of part-time classes available. For more information, please contact the principal through 0701 508 503 or their office line on 0720 312 021 and 0711 185 283.
Good journalism is bold, in-depth, unique, captivates, reflects, and impacts. To quench your thirst for exceptional stories that are about you, from you, and for you, Kirk TV presents itself as the hub of feature stories. Ranging from health,
important than a individual,
education, and socio-economic issues.
Nasaidika kwa sababu nikishona moja mbili nauza, napata kitu ya kulisha watoto.
I have met with other types which I have never met before.
To other stories that touch on your day-to-day life.
Ja ndio iko mingi zaidi. Tafadhali mnasaidia maji ya nyazi.
Tinga amekanyanga kila kitu.
Hatujawahi kuona mabadiliko yote kuhusiana na serikali ya kujengea sisi.
Kwanza kitu naweza omba tu nishikiliwe tu pande ya masomo tu ya watoto.
Kirk TV, the hub of feature stories.
Losing a beloved one can be one of the hardest life experiences. Death brings a total change in many setups, the family taking a huge position. Death also provides an opportunity to celebrate the departed and their achievements on earth. Kirk TV provides for you an opportunity to announce death and funeral at affordable fee. For more information, write to us via announcements at kirktv.org or call 011 00 90 647.
Where there is no vision, the people perish.
You'll find people talking about saying, we discussed this for the last 5 meetings or for the last 2 years or 3 years, but nothing seems to move.
Here on Effective Manager, we help you get leadership and managerial tips.
You cannot be popular in the workplace as a leader. You can only be respected because of being fair and providing leadership.
strategy and board advisory.
You do not need to put in unnecessary and undue pressure.
Stimulate new ideas in leadership and management.
You get an opportunity to bring diverse views and ideas to a problem so that you can be able to identify a lasting solution.
You can't afford to miss The Effective Manager with Dr. David Muturi, Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. only on Kirk TV.
Families should be the epitome of love. But in recent times, this seems like a dream, because all we're witnessing is rape cases, high divorce rates, betrayal, and even murder.
So you have to protect her.
You say maintaining marriages because racist.
There are also many who are going through issues in their marriages and they can't run to anybody.
The issue of killing, the issue of murder seem to be on the rise.
And that is why we bring you Transforming Families, where we are all about just that, transforming families.
Wakenya ni wapenda kazi na kila siku wapo mbioni kuchapa kazi. Kipindi cha Kazi na Mali ni rafiki, swahiba na kipenzi cha wachapakazi wote. Si jua kali tu. Kilimo shambani.
Kusema kweli, nguruwe ni wazuri.
Madini ya protein kwa huyu snail iko juu sana.
Biashara sokoni. Wajasiriamali wa aina zote, sanaa, wasanii. Guess what? It is business. Tunatembea nawe kila hatua ya uvumbuzi na ubunifu wako ili kujikimu na kukimu uchumi wa taifa. Kazi na Mali, sisi ndisi, Kirk TV, hapa ndipo.
Siku yetu muhimu, harusi yetu, uwepo wenu nyote. Kwetu ni kitu, kwetu ni nyinyi ndugu, leo na kesho.
Harusi maua, ng'ari ng'ari wanapendeza.
Leo ni furaha, shangwe na furaha.
Harusi maua, tabasamu, suti na shela.
Wacha tufurahi, sote tufurahi. Siti, haikuwa rahisi tufike my baby leo hii. Na hapa tulipo, ndio siku yetu ipo muhimu ya harusi.
Are you looking for a university that matches your drive and ambition? Choose ZTech University. We offer market-driven programs ranging from masters, bachelor's, diploma and certificate levels in the schools of ICT, Media and Engineering, Education, Arts and Social Sciences, and the School of Business and Economics. Enroll today for September 2022 intake and enjoy a vibrant student experience, ultra-modern and well-equipped facilities, experienced faculty, and a place to pursue your dreams and ultimately change the world. ZTech University. Invent your future.
The Presbyterian Teachers College Rubate is now offering training and upgrading of P1 and ECDE certificates to diploma, and hereby invites all applicants for the September 2022 intake in the following teacher education programs: Diploma in Early Childhood Teacher Education, DECTE, required grade discipline in KCSE. upgrade of P1 certificate to diploma, upgrade of early childhood teacher education ECDE to diploma. The reporting dates are as from 12th September to 12th October 2022 with the option of part-time classes available. For more information, please contact the principal through 0701 508 503 or their office line on 0720 312 021 and 0711 185 283.
Good journalism is bold, in-depth, unique, captivates, reflects, and impacts. To quench your thirst for exceptional stories that are about you, from you, and for you, Kirk TV presents itself as the hub of feature stories. Ranging from health and environment,
either there is extreme drought or extreme floods, and these will affect people.
Religion and politics.
And the man looked at the boy, looked at the mother, and told the boy, going forward, don't wet the bed again.
There come a time when the nation is more important than an individual.
Education and socio-economic issues.
Nasaidika kwa sababu nikishona moja mbili nauza, napata kitu ya kulisha watoto.
I have met with other tribes which I have never met before.
To other stories that touch on your day-to-day life.
Ja ndio iko mingi zaidi. Tafadhali mnasaidia maji ya nyazi.
Tinga amekanyanga kila kitu.
Hatujawahi kuona mabadiliko yote kuhusiana na serikali ya kujengea sisi.
Kwanza kitu naweza omba tu nishikiliwe tu pande ya masomo tu ya watoto.
Kirk TV, the hub of feature stories.
Losing a beloved one can be one of the hardest life experiences. Death brings a total change in many setups, the family taking a huge position. Death also provides an opportunity to celebrate the departed and their achievements on earth. Kirk TV provides for you an opportunity to announce death and funeral at affordable fee. For more information, write to us via announcements at kirktv.org or call 011 00 90647.
Where there is no vision, the people perish.
You'll find people talking about saying, we discussed this for the last 5 meetings or for the last 2 years or 3 years, but nothing seems to move.
Here on Effective Manager, we help you get leadership and managerial tips.
You cannot be popular in the workplace as a leader. You can only be respected because of being fair and providing leadership.
Strategy and board advisory.
You do not need to put in unnecessary and undue pressure.
Stimulate new ideas in leadership and management.
You get an opportunity to bring diverse views and ideas to a problem so that you can be able to identify a lasting solution.
You can't afford to miss The Effective Manager with Dr. David Muturi, Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. only on Kirk TV.
Families should be the epitome of love. But in recent times, this seems like a dream because all we're witnessing is rape cases, high divorce rates, betrayal, and even murder.
So you have to protect her.
You say maintaining marriages because rahisi.
There are also many who are going through issues in their marriages and they can't run to anybody.
The issue of killing, the issue of murder seem to be on the rise.
And that is why we bring you Transforming Families, where we are all about just that, transforming families.
Wakenya ni wapenda kazi na kila siku wako mbioni kuchapa kazi. Kipindi cha Kazi na Mali ni rafiki, swahiba na kipenzi cha wachapakazi wote. Si jua kali tu. Kilimo shambani.
Kusema kweli nguruwe ni wazuri.
Madini ya protein kwa huyu snail iko juu sana.
Biashara sokoni. Wajasiriamali wa aina zote, sanaa, wasanii. Guess what? It is business. Tunatembea nawe kila hatua ya uvumbuzi na ubunifu wako ili kujikimu na kukimu uchumi wa taifa. Kazi na Mali, sisi ndisi, Kirk TV, hapa ndipo.
Siku yetu muhimu, harusi yetu, uwepo wenu nyote. Kwetu ni kitu, kwetu ninyi ni ndugu, leo na kesho.
Harusi maua, ng'ari ng'ari wanapendeza.
Leo ni furaha, shangwe na furaha.
Harusi maua, tabasamu, suti na shela.
Wacha tufurahi, sote tufurahi. Siti, haikuwa rahisi tufike my baby leo hii. Na hapa tulipo, ndio siku yetu ipo muhimu ya harusi.
Alright, welcome back to Kirk in the Morning. In case you're joining us, remember we are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube at Kirk TV Kenya, which is our platform. So all social media, we'll also be taking your feedback from all those social media platforms. Welcome as we get into our big discussion this morning, as we take a look at the shaping of the Ruto's government. And I just want to introduce my panelists here in studio just so quickly. On my near right is Oleso Odhiambo, is a political strategist as well. Welcome to the program this morning. And next to him is Kipngetich. Is also a political analyst and also youth advocate. Welcome this morning to the program. And on the far right is Felix Wesonga, is also a youth representative from Kakamega County and also a political commentator. Welcome to the program this morning. And good to have you gentlemen this morning. How is the feeling?
Good to see you, Chris, and our viewers.
Just looking at what is in the newspapers just so quickly, the big discussion on Ruto's tough choices. The Daily Nation here has the headline as Ruto's hard choices on the economy. Let's begin at this point. Oleso, the first move by the president now, William Ruto, in regards to reviving the economy. First of all, he put out the fuel subsidy, and that being a tough choice because starting yesterday, the fuel prices went up, and when the fuel prices go up means some of the commodities, basic commodities, could as well go up. And from his reference was that we are looking for a long-run solution, but not a short-term solution on subsidies. What do you make of the move by the president?
Okay. First of all, good morning, our viewers. It has been a while since I was on this show.
Definitely.
I think the last time I was here, we were very optimistic that you are going to Canaan this time round. And along the way, just like it is a norm of politics, we didn't make to get to Canaan, which was going to be a land of milk and honey. But either way, there is a government in place. So we ask our people to continue with their daily activities. Back to your question, Chris, as to the move by the president, now President William Ruto, his take on the economy. Something that Kenyans need to know is either way, irrespective of who was going to get to the State House, the issue of fuel subsidy was meant to come to an end. Because fuel, there was the agreement between Kenya and IMF and the international donors who had advised the country that it is no longer sustainable to continue having this fuel subsidy. So irrespective of who will have occupied the house on the hill, this was going to come to an end. But my take will be that if that comes to an end, what is the best alternative then to cushion our people against the repercussion that come with the high fuel prices? And therefore, for the president to say that we are doing away with this, but then he doesn't announce any meaningful steps to maybe to caution the manufacturers, because ideally what it means, the prices of basic commodities are going to shoot. So I think on that, I will say that he ought maybe to have given us an option of, even though we are this is gone, but then this is what is going to at least save the common mwananchi.
And before we come to Ngetich and Wesonga, because I know you will have a very contrary opinion to that, let's take a listen in to what the President William Ruto said after being sworn in Kasarani in regards to the subsidy.
Our campaign on the platform of the economy premise on job creation and the well-being of the people of Kenya, and we have been working continuously on the measures to bring down the cost of living. Our people are confronted daily with increasingly unaffordable prices, especially food and transport. In our economic forums across the country, during the campaign, citizens consistently shared their anxiety, their pain, and their fury on this matter. It therefore calls on us for urgent and decisive resolution. The interventions in place have not borne any fruit. On fuel subsidy alone, the taxpayers have spent a whopping 144 billion, 60 billion in the last 4 months alone. If the subsidy continues to the end of the financial year, it will cost taxpayers 280 billion, equivalent to the entire national government development budget. Additionally, there was an attempt to subsidize unga in the run-up to the election, a program that cobbled up 7 billion in 1 month.
And we just heard what the president said after being sworn in and making his inaugural speech. Ngetich, what do you make of the statements there? He talks about those efforts made by the previous government to, revive the economy, bore no fruits, and now it's a new beginning.
Okay, Chris, thank you once again for having me on your show. I think the president's speech there meant to prepare Kenyans to tighten up. He was simply telling Kenyans the reality on the status of the economy. And if you remember, Chris, during swearing-in ceremony, our deputy president spoke about that they are inheriting a dilapidated economy. So the fact of the matter is, as a country, we are very broke. And the tough decisions need to be made which are sustainable for the future, not only for short-term gains. So when the debate currently now we are talking about is, after scrapping the fuel subsidies, what is the way forward to help cushion Kenyans on the high cost of commodities? So I want to agree with Oleso that fuel subsidies was meant to come to an end regardless of who would have won the election. And 2 months ago, Chris, when I said here, when I was seated here, that fuel subsidy is going to end in September. And the reality is now, it is now ending. So the thing, what we are, as a government, the government of President Ruto is trying to do is to look for sustainable solutions. Like you said, you've seen, Chris, the president just talk about the amount of money that is subsidies in fuel as the government has spent on subsidies in fuel in only 4 months. It is 60 billion. 60 billion annually, that is, he said around, it will be around 280 billion. So you say that is a whole lot of development budget. So if we spend our development budget on subsidies, how will we develop as a country? We need to create jobs for our young people. So what we are, from where I sit myself, and the room the government has now to be able to cushion Kenyans is to look at the tax regime in terms of taxation over fuel. Currently, the tax on petrol, super petrol, is around 63 bob. I think 62 point something Kenya shillings. The tax on diesel is around 51 shillings. So you see, and now bearing in mind that the government is collecting 61 bob per litre on petrol and then go ahead to subsidize 30 shillings. So for government to be able to cushion Kenyans against skyrocketing fuel price is to look at the tax regime. What kind of taxes should be able to defer or remove? As we speak, even in the U.S., President Biden has asked the Congress to scrap the tax on fuel, VAT tax, as in the exercise due to 18% tax on fuel, so that to be able to lower the other cost of other commodities. So in Kenya, we need to look at VAT, for example, which was introduced amid a lot of outcry, 8% on VAT. We have what we call Petroleum Development Levy, which around, we are saying it has collected around 39 billion, and we are not seeing where it is. Question we're being asked, where are these funds, Petroleum Development Levy? Because essentially, if the cost of fuel rises up, we expect this kind of fund, Petroleum Development Levy, to be able now to cushion Kenyans against prices of fuel going up. So the president has said 60 billion was spent in the last 4 months. And we are asking ourselves, where did this 39 billion Petroleum Development Levy, which was charged on fuel, went? So those are things the government should be able to look in detail. And we are saying we are globally, when we look at the global market outlook of oil prices, the prediction is it is set to decline. So Kenyans now should be able to tighten their belts in the short term as the government is trying to look at sustainable solutions that is beyond only fuel and also other areas that affects the cost of basic commodities. On the swearing-in ceremony, the president announced the price of fertilizer, to reduction of the price of fertilizer to 33,500 to encourage production in farming. So that is another area of that will go into generally reducing the cost of living, because when you have the reduced cost of fertilizer, the reduced cost of farm inputs, meaning the farmers will spend less. Definitely we'll have a huge supply of maize and other food products in the market, which will be able to lower the prices of commodities, as opposed to relying only on fuel, looking at only in the one lens of fuel. We have to have the cost of fuel to be low for the commodities to be, for the price of the commodities fuel. So generally speaking, Chris, the thing where we are as a country, in terms of the economic status of us as a country, we are not in a, to speak essentially, true economists could tell you, we are not in a position that we can say we are financially sound. So Kenyans must be told, one of the reasons the government is removing fuel subsidies is because Kenyans do not have that money even to subsidize fuel. Because essentially, when you subsidize anything, you need to have that money first in your accounts to be able to subsidize. But you see, if you talk to these oil marketers, they will tell you maybe the last 6 months, even that subsidy itself, they have not been paid. It is part of the pending bills, 500 billion pending bills. So we don't have even that money in our financial, in our treasury. We don't have that money. So the continued subsidies on fuel is no longer tenable. That's why we are looking. So when you look at most countries, when you across Africa, they have been able to do away with fuel subsidies. The reason is it is not sustainable. Nigeria, Zambia, even in Tanzania, they don't have a fuel subsidy. Yet the price of fuel is per liter of petrol in Tanzania is around 159 bob. So we need to look at what these countries are doing to be able to cap their prices of fuel down as we look beyond now, generally now, the cost of fertilizers, for us to be able to make the cost of living affordable to Kenyans. Otherwise, I think the government is in the right direction. Once the cabinet, we need to give this time to the new government. We need to give time to the new government to be able to plan itself, because I know because I served in President Ruto's campaign, I know he has a plan for this country. And what he promised Kenyans on campaign is definitely going to do, given what he has already done in the past few days to fulfill part of that. So the cost of living is something we need to wait as Kenyans, as the government is being formed, and be able to get a long-lasting solution, so that every year we'll not be crying, bei ya mafuta imepanda, bei ya unga imepanda. We need to get a long-lasting solutions for the people to get a sustainable economy, which makes every Kenyan afford to live comfortably.
Wesonga is talking about, give time for the new government, and also Oleso talked about, putting out the fuel subsidy and food subsidy, but not providing an alternative of how the prices will go down. What do you make of the two statements?
Well, thank you, Chris, for having me on this show. Particularly, I would like firstly to express my gratitude to opposition. It seems to be very vibrant, more than I would expect them to be. You can see they are keeping us in check barely 3 days into government. And the fuel subsidy is a matter talking about, and even the unga subsidy that we had. So really, subsidies are not sustainable. It is true, and they do not benefit all the players in the market, particularly the oil marketers. The government really puts out tenders. Then the marketers go out there, they get the petroleum products, then they sell to us. But there is no fuel shortage in the country. They have it, but now there is this thing we call hoarding. The moment that the government does not pay the marketers these subsidies, they deliberately hold the fuel. They deliberately create that shortage to compel the government to pay them the subsidies. And there are two ways of effecting these subsidies. One, you pay directly to the marketers. Two, you can put away some of the taxes that you put on them, so that the cost of production on their side goes down. But you realize we need to have this money first before we even go for the subsidy. And the only way the government can get revenue is either by borrowing, or by taxing more. So it doesn't make much sense to put in a subsidy, then at the same time the taxes are still there in place. So I'd rather the government does away with the subsidies as recommended by the IMF. Then we look for our own local tailored solutions on how to go about this fuel reduction of the prices of fuel. It's something that will be there to stay. And also, if you look at the international market, things like the war in Ukraine is coming down. It's like the war is coming to an end, and really it's just a matter of time before the fuel prices go down. But if we continue with this idea of paying the marketers subsidies, we shall not get it immediately. The prices shall not go down immediately. We should allow a free market where, when the oil market, the international oil market relaxes, we can also feel it from our own country. But the government can put in place other sustainable solutions which are healthy to the local market, so that even the cost of production, the cost of let's say transportation, everything is fairly sustainable and fairly reasonable to the marketers and everybody in the country. I also think we should give the government time. It's barely 3 days, and President William Ruto is is a reformist. He's a man who really does things very fast and is in a way that is properly informed. I know he has better advisors, and this is just but one step. And you know, our country, I've realized somehow also, sorry to say, but illiteracy is a problem. You know, people are really looking at the outcome, the short-term, the short-term problems that we are facing after the subsidies have been lifted. They don't want to look at the long-term solutions. They don't want to look at the long-term outcome of what we are going to benefit by doing away with these subsidies. So I'd rather we give the government some time, you know, after we've taken away these subsidies. I'm informed that even the subsidies have not been lifted on all the petroleum products, really. It's just super petrol, if I'm not wrong. And it's something that shall be gradual, but eventually it shall bear fruits.
The subsidies partially on diesel and kerosene.
Yeah.
For petrol was scrapped off totally. Just also, you're hearing what they're talking about. We need to give the government time, and also we need to understand that we can face a short-term problem but have a long-run solution. For you, there's been a lot of deceit even from the president remarks before the election day. He talked about a lot of deceit from oil marketers, you know, going behind through the back doors to be able, you know, to put a temporary crisis. In all that regard, the move by the president as the first move, was it the right move, or rather who should have sought other solutions?
You know, I'm perplexed by the statement of the two gentlemen when they say that they inherited an economy that was in ICU. You know, truth must be said and told. Mm-hmm. William Ruto has been the deputy president for 10 years. You cannot run away from that fact. So when you say that you are inheriting a government that has been in ICU, you've been the deputy president. You did put this economy in ICU as you want us to believe. Because if at all the DP maybe did resign in 2018, 2019, then comes to the presidency and then is surprised, is shocked that the economy is in ICU, we will agree. But for a man who has been there for 10 years, he has been part of the government that has looted the public coffers, and now come back to tell us that I'm inheriting a government, an economy that is not working. I think that is not being sincere. Two, the statement by the Ruto allies, or rather the government now, that you know, don't look for the short-term issues. Let's focus in the long run. I will remind them, because maybe they have a problem. They keep on forgetting so easily. When the Jubilee government came in power in 2013, they initiated an irrigation program, I think in Kilifi and Tana River, the Galana Kulalu irrigation project. Billions of public money were pumped into that project. And at the end game, we were told that, look guys, we are addressing this thing from the root cause. We have initiated a very big irrigation scheme that in the long run, we will be a self-production nation. Mm-hmm. We will produce surplus. In fact, we will be exporting. So Kenyans said, well, let's wait. 10 years later, Chris, we are still in a crisis. Despite public money having been spent there, nothing has been realized. So the other thing they came and told us, let's deal with the infrastructure, because in the next 5 years, the infrastructure program will create jobs and will do all manner of things. And what did they do? During the first term, to spread the infrastructure countrywide as they purported to do, they went on a borrowing spree. They borrowed billions of money, invested in infrastructure, and told us, you will soon realize the benefit of these projects. 10 years later, Kenyans have not failed. Because, you know, an ordinary Kenyan, Chris, will feel the economy is growing if at the end of the day, he has money in the pocket. Mm-hmm. He can afford food for the family. Anything less than that doesn't matter to the common mwananchi. And so I'm afraid that the first part of Jubilee has ended. Now the second version has come in, but the narrative still remains the same. They have already told us, guys, let's look at it in the long term. don't focus on the short term, what they told us in 2013. So for me, and from where I sit, I think we are a little bit worried that it could end up being empty promises. And lastly, you know, there is a very big difference between the campaign rhetoric and the reality once you get into the office. We are not being, maybe we are not taking this government too fast. We are just taking them by their own words. In the campaign trail, and everybody knows, the President, William Ruto, told us that in the next 100 days, the cost of living will be down. The cost of fuel will be reduced. The cost of unga will be below 100 shillings within 100 days. So let nobody come to this show and tell us that let us look in the long run. We go by what the president told us. We are just holding him to be accountable. You told the Kenyan people, they gave you the mandate, hoping that in the 100 days of your presidency, life is going to at least to be affordable. And so even as we navigate through all these things, we should still hold them within that time frame. I think that is from my own perspective.
Wasonga, the government should be held into the frame that they put themselves 100 days when we get into office. But even as they get into this office, they're facing a very big nightmare. That is the fight on corruption. Which now has put us in this case of fuel subsidy. If you listen to what the president said even before the election day, and even when he was on the presidential debate, talked about this fuel subsidy being a product of corruption. The president now has a big task to revive the economy, but has also a big task. If you have to revive the economy, then you have to face the corruption monster first. What do you make of those two challenges as he faces them, all of them at once?
Well, the president, William Ruto, is a man of is sound mind, I know. And one of the last statements he made before being sworn in, he said, immediately he puts the Bible down, he will come for the cartels. And really, he has come for the cartels. You realize the number of marketers, oil marketers, who are benefiting from these oil subsidies was barely even a reasonable fraction of the total number of oil marketers in the country. We have around, I think, 96 or something. But barely 10 were benefiting from this money. So you realize the president is just effecting what he has been promising. Only that he has just but started. He has started, of course, cartels now are online. And I think my friends here, my friend here, particularly from the opposition side, they are subsidy oriented, you know. It is on record that their leader had promised them 6,000 every month, you know. That's another form of subsidy, you know. And it is interesting how it could be financed, you know, taking money from this pocket and paying to this pocket. It's quite interesting. But in our government, we don't believe in short-term solutions, you know. We look into the prospects. And one, we have already dealt cartels a blow by doing away with the subsidies. That's the first blow we have dealt them. And that is also a way of fighting corruption, you know. And I believe in the coming weeks, after the cabinet is named and the whole government is in place, more and more plans shall be rolled into place to do away with corruption, to do away with this subsidy issue. Already you are done away with it. So just expect more steps to be taken. But in the meantime, you have to feel the heat, of course. You know, nothing comes easy. And I really applaud the president, and I hope that more steps shall be taken towards the same.
There is a question, a bigger question of, you know, the reign of President William Ruto. Of course, he's kicked off with the first step of putting out the fuel subsidy as one form of, you know, trying to manage the government expenditure and also trying to fight what he termed as cartels, from his own words, and you know, it's a backdoor for corrupt deals, saying that the subsidy is not in any way helping the Kenyan people, but also but it's just helping the corrupt oil marketers. I want us to jump into what the president did as well on his first day at work, the appointment of the 7 judges, rather the 6 judges of the Supreme Court. In his words, after swearing in of those judges, talked about, I'm appealing to you, judges. The reason why I'm doing this, I want you to help me fight corruption so that I can be able to deliver for the Kenyan people. And before you make your remarks on that, I want us to get into the context of that and listen into what the president said while on that occasion.
I know the judges here have waited a bit longer than they should. It is the rule of law, not the rule of man. So that's the bare minimum. Let me say this for the record, that Kenya can only be better if we become a country of the rule of law. Even as president, I have limitations, and I should respect those limitations. I want to request the judiciary on behalf of the people of Kenya to support our administration in ensuring that corruption cases, commercial cases, land cases are adjudicated and concluded in a timely manner, because that way we can promote Kenya as a country that attracts investment. Investors can have more confidence in our country.
Ngetich, just coming to you, because I was addressing the question to you. You've heard what the president talked about. If you look at it at this point, he seems to have gone for the critical component in fighting corruption. You saw what the judiciary faced in the previous term of now outgone President Uhuru Kenyatta. There was lots of friction in that. The president comes out and says, when we arrest these people, we bring them to you and you release them. And the President William Ruto seems to have seen that as a bigger problem. If he at all he has to deliver for the Kenyan people, and now goes ahead and tells the judiciary, my government is going to support you, and for me to show you that I'm going to support you, let me appoint these 6 judges that were put on stop by the previous regime. And he goes ahead and tells them, kindly, please, I want you to help me in fighting corruption. What do you make of that move by the president?
Thank you, Chris. I think the issue of judges, I addressed it here around 2 months ago. But before I really come to that, maybe to finish up on this issue around prices of oil and the decision that has been taken already by the government. I think my friend Oleso is actually lying to our viewers, and I don't think it would be very right, to allow him to continue in that sense. When you talk about the past regime, 10 years of Jubilee, I think it's factual that the last 10 years we have had 2 governments. One, first term under Uhuru Ruto, and then the second term was a handshake government under
That's not true.
Uhuru and Raila.
But that's not a fact.
No, allow me.
Let us argue within the frames of the Constitution. You cannot.
We live in Kenya.
Those are hearsays.
No. It's not an hearsay. Chris, I think you also agree. We live in Kenya, and we know what happened.
No, we have government.
Yes. We live in this country, and I cannot allow him. So we have had 2 terms, and that is a fact. We cannot dispute. Even if you dispute along all those, Kenyans can be able to see. There are shortage of, I think along all our campaign, we have said in this country we have shortage of fools. Kenyans can see what is happening. So we have had 2 governments. Under Uhuru Ruto in the first term, and then the second term handshake government under Uhuru and Raila Odinga. And to look at, to compare the 2 terms, the last 2 terms, before, up to 2017, Kenyan public debt stood at 4.5 trillion. As we speak, the Kenyan public debt is at 10 trillion. So the first term, it borrowed, the Uhuru Ruto government borrowed around 3 billion. But the second term handshake government under Uhuru and Raila borrowed around 5.5 trillion. But let's look at the impacts of both. The 5.5 trillion, did we see the reflection of that 5.5 trillion in terms of the changes to our Kenyan people? Definitely no. So what we are saying is, that is why when we talk about inheriting a very tattered economy, it is actually very true. Because most of those funds that have been borrowed in the handshake regime has been looted. It has only benefited the chosen few. That is why when Wesonga speaks about our president dealing with cartels, it is something which we must do. And over many times, I've said in this station, I've talked about the state capture. State capture, cartelism in this country is what has killed, that has brought the economy where we are now. Let's look, for example, around the oil industry. There are more than 1,200 independent oil marketers that controls around 30 to 40% of the oil market. These 1,200 independent oil marketers independent petrol station does not benefit from this subsidy. And we have told in the last 6 months alone, we have spent around 60 billion on subsidy. This subsidy decrease is only benefiting 5 oil marketers. And that is why what we are saying, when the president talks about dealing with cartels, it is something that must be taken seriously. So when we talk about removing fuel subsidy, for even in the last 3 months where we had subsidy, the subsidy on petrol, we used to subsidize petrol 30 shillings on subsidy on petrol. And you see, when the subsidy was removed, the price of petrol only increased by 20 shillings. And we are asking ourselves, who was taking that 10 bob subsidy of petrol? So the whole thing in the oil industry is cartelism, which was dealt with decisively. And I like the direction the president and his government has taken. Because let me inform you, Oleso, we are not talking about long-term solution. I think we have not said about long-term solution. We are talking about sustainable solutions that can be able to take Kenyans for the future years, sustainable, to make Kenyans afford to live in this country. So, Chris, we are not talking about, we are starting to work. The first thing is to get rid of cartels and now come up with solutions that are pragmatic and be able to solve the Kenyan problems faced by Kenyans. So on the issue of judges, Chris, I've spoken many times, even on newspapers, and when we were campaigning against BBI, that it was illegal. So you see, the constitutional body judged with appointing and recruitment of judges and magistrates and judicial officers is Judicial Service Commission. So the president's function, once JSC has completed the recruitment process and recommend whatever judge or a magistrate to be appointed by the president has no roles. The president's role is perfectionary and does not, he only needs to appoint. He doesn't need to go and vet. Because if there is any vetting process and the president has any form of intelligence which casts aspersions on the character and the reputation or the performance or function of any judge, the president is supposed to take that information to the recruiting office, that is Judicial Service Commission. So it was quite unfortunate and quite illegal for former President Uhuru Kenyatta to appoint those 6 judges. So what the president did in appointing the 6 judges, 4 to the Court of Appeal and then 2 to land, and if I may call, is to stick to what the Constitution and the rule of law says. So during the whole of campaign season, the president said we are going to respect the law, we are going to respect the Constitution, and everyone should play its role. So going forward, we are going to have a government that respects the law, that respects the Constitution, and I do not think we'll have another, as in stalemate between the judiciary and the executive or the judiciary and the parliament. These 3 arms of government will be able to work in synergy for delivery of service to Kenyan people. In fact, the next increase that the government of William Ruto will do is to lift the red alerts to enable Comrade Miguna to come to the country, because that is a Kenyan by birth and has every right to come to his country and to enjoy freedom of movement like all of us here, but he has been denied entry to his country of birth by the bad regime, handshake regime, led by the former president. But we are happy the president, incoming president, William Ruto, is starting on a very good note on a constitutional front, and we will be able to see a government that identify the government of the people and by the people.
My director is saying that It's not incoming president, it's the president already.
Yeah, so I might
asking whether have you not accepted he is the president?
No, we are getting used to. Yeah, we're really getting used to. So the president has started on a good note.
Before my friend responds, I think to put this matter to arrest, we need to be factual. I think the last point he made when he said that I was lied to the viewers, but it is a fact. Just a day before the swearing of the President William Ruto, he was the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, and everybody knows that. Any other interpretation outside that context, then that's just someone's own imagination. Two, it's okay, but the Deputy President, that is a fact. And then two, no Kenyan in their sane mind will wish the government of the day to fail. All of us. It is our prayer that President William Ruto succeeds, because the success of William Ruto, the success of this government is the success of Kenyans, and everybody prays that they succeed. So, you know, Chris, one difficult task is to defend the government. It is very hard to defend the government. And my prayer is, especially with the young people now, the young people who are coming up, I think we should not be so much occupied with the sycophancy that we even want to defend what is not defendable. I pray that we will get to a point where we will have that generational change, that even if we are in government, we can actually point out and say, no, I think this one is not really appropriate. William Ruto, when it comes to matters of the judiciary, I think he has started on a good note. I must commend him for that. But it is just my hope that some of these things he's doing maybe are not one way of rewarding the judiciary based on the decision they made the other day, or maybe trying to influence the judiciary so that they sing to his tune. Because if we take that route, it is going to be a dangerous route for the country. Since, you know, on a daily basis, people, civil societies take government to court. And I'm trying to imagine a scenario where you are taking a government to court, the government that is in bed with the judiciary. It is going to be a catastrophe for this country. So I've had my colleague here, Ngetich, purport to speak on behalf of the judiciary that they are going to. You can only speak for the government that you campaign for. The judiciary has not appointed any person to speak on their behalf, and if they do, it will come from them. So as to going forward, whether the decisions they are going to make will be independent or where they'll be interfered by or influenced by the government, it's something that we wait to see if it's going to happen. But the most important thing, let us have an independent judiciary. Let us have a well-funded judiciary, and I'm happy the president announced that he's going to give them additional 3 billion because they really need to function. And without these funds, I think it is not proper for them. We have had backlog of cases in our courts, and then the number of judges. I think they had a limit of number of judges. The president has gone ahead to swear in the 6 judges that were rejected by President Kenyatta. In my view, there was no justifiable reason as to why President Kenyatta didn't appoint those judges. Because if on one hand you tell us that you have intelligence information about these judges and so they are not supposed to be appointed, and then on the other hand you still let them serve in whichever capacity they were serving. So I was trying to imagine somebody who takes their case, let's say, to Justice Odunga, yet you know that the president has told you that he has some intelligence information against this particular judge. So whichever ruling this judge is going to make, something will tell you that maybe the ruling was not fair, because even from the president, there is an issue with this judge. So their appointment actually was a good move by President William Ruto. And we pray that he continues with that spirit. Let him not be disrupted along the way by people like my friend here, Ngetich, who are so much occupied with power and getting to this government. No, Ngetich has not been used to such power, so he may get into his head.
Let's go listening to what Raila Odinga had to say in regards to the judiciary with Songa. What do you want to say?
maybe if I may just respond to Matthew kidogo.
Yeah.
It is interesting that he pretty much agrees with the president what he's doing. He has acknowledged that the president has appointed the 6 judges who are rejected by somebody who is not on the vetting board of judges, the Judicial Service Commission.
Correct.
It is also interesting that he has acknowledged that, or rather, I acknowledge that the president again has given the police the independence to manage their own budget, you know, and the president has taken away the subsidies. You know, all these points to what? They point to fighting corruption. They point to fighting cartels. So we can all agree unanimously that the president already is doing something towards corruption. Barely 3 days into government is something that we should acknowledge. And also the fact that the same president who rejected appointing 6 judges appointed the infamous 4 commissioners. You know, it's quite interesting, you know. And we have seen what they have done. And we have seen what the law has said about what they did. So it is quite interesting to see my friend contradict himself, agree and disagree at the same time. I think my friend should agree with us that the president who is in position now, William Ruto, is already doing more than enough. He's overworking, and we want to tell our president that whatever he's doing good, and we really support him. Then I think when it comes to the matter of cartels, it shall not be something that wake up in the morning and they disappear immediately. It will take some time. You know, these cartels control some fraction of the economy. We have to really know how to go about it. So it won't go away completely today. We should give it some time.
Yeah. And just before,
and just listen. Allow me just 30 seconds.
Just shortly, so that we
10 seconds. Yeah? Yeah. The appointment of the 6 judges was not to assuage or to pay the judiciary in whatever form. If I like, after this TV, I'll give him our manifesto. It was in our manifesto. And that was the first thing we promised to do. So we are fulfilling what we promised.
Yes. All right, yes. And let's listen in to what the Right Honorable Raila Odinga had to say in regards to the judiciary and the judges of the judiciary.
Shame on the judiciary of this country. And I see them protesting and trying to give threats. And we will talk. The constitution of this country gives power to the people of Kenya. And all those other people exercising power are exercising donated power. So the judiciary is no exception. If they become rogue, we have power as the people of this country to reform them and send them home. We can lead a 1 million march to the judiciary to say, "Kwendeni nyumbani." And they would have no choice but to go home. So the judiciary should not threaten, blackmail the people of this country after they have done the messes that they've done. When you do, we say we respect, but we don't agree. And we have a right as a people not to agree with bad rulings of the judiciary. It is our constitutional right to say hii ruling ilikuwa shenzi. It is not based on any law. It is thuggery, judicial thuggery. And we are not going to accept these kind of things.
Aswanga, you're listening to what the Right Honorable Raila Odinga is talking about there, and you can feel the words coming out strongly. And talking about, if the judiciary is rogue, then we need to call them out. And he's referring to the ruling that they made in regards to the presidential election, as well as, their conduct going forward, saying now the rapport that they're having with the executive. What do you make of Odinga's statements?
Firstly, Chris, I would like to acknowledge the work of the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. And I am really happy that he's out again as the strong opposition leader we know. And actually he's talking strongly, and he looks more determined to lead the opposition. But quite interestingly, firstly, a person who has a problem with all independent institutions, you have a problem with the IBC, you have a problem with the judiciary. Barely months ago, they were boasting about deep state. in a way they're trying to manipulate the police service, you know. So if you get an opposition leader who is supposed to keep the government in check, but instead of doing that, they are trying to undermine independent institutions, it is something that really should worry Kenyans. And I would also like to confirm to viewers and those who support the right Honorable former Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga, that really we don't oust the judiciary by conducting a 1 million marchman, you know. You have to come through the constitutional framework and present your ideas, present your grievances, why you think the judiciary is not right. And I believe he's not a judge or he's not a lawyer or he has not practiced law anywhere. So I'm surprised when he says that the judiciary made a false ruling, you know. I don't know what informs him really. And I believe everything the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga is talking about is barely or primarily just politics. He's trying to give his supporters a soft landing, you know. You have to feel that really Baba did his best, and even though he didn't reach there, he did his best. But I believe Raila doesn't really mean what he's saying. He's just trying to come back to his people, and he has really managed. And I can acknowledge him. He's a good politician.
Oleso, he's talking about, you did not get where you are going. You talked about the land of honey and all that, not getting there. What do you make of Odinga's statement after a very short retreat and then coming back very strongly and making such strong statements on the judiciary?
Maraga, the former CJ, David Kenan Maraga, told us that the greatness of a nation lies on its fidelity to the Constitution. And I think that is what Raila Odinga believes in. We believe in the rule of law. And once the courts have pronounced themselves, we have no otherwise but to agree with their ruling, even though we may disagree sometimes. And this is not the first time Raila Odinga is agreeing with the decision of the Supreme Court. I think we also need to do away with this bad thinking that everything that the judiciary says is accurate. We have decisions that have been, we have rulings that have been made by the High Court, but challenged in Court of Appeal, and actually Court of Appeal say that outrightly says that indeed the High Court erred. We have cases that have gone to, let's say, the Court of Appeal, and when they finally come to the Supreme Court finds that there was an error in that ruling. So it is possible that the judges can make an error in their ruling. But what should now build a country is that irrespective whether that ruling was fair in your view or not, you have to abide with it. And that's what Raila Odinga says. Yes, we agreed, we accepted, but we don't really agree with the ruling. And I want to school my friend Felix here. I think he's still stuck in the old politics or old way of politicking. We are in a modern way of politics. When you claim that I contradict myself, it is, you know, in modern politics, you don't have to criticize just because you are supposed to criticize. You need to give credit where it's due. You need to criticize where it is necessary. There is no contradiction within that aspect. You are just being a modern generation. We are doing a modern generation of politics where you can congratulate your opponent, you can criticize where they go wrong. And that's what I encourage young people, those of us who maybe in the near future, I know in some days to come he's going to ask the people of Kakamega to at least trust him in the Senate ship. He will want to be their senator. And therefore, as you take that route, we need to have honest leaders, people who can say this is wrong, people who can say this is right. And even, you know, Chris, when we came on this show, I didn't know that I'm sitting between two diehards of this government. And they are attacking me from all over. So even as they attack me, I want to tell them that, yes, you are supporting this government, but let us be progressive young people. Even though you could be in government, but when they do wrong, please do not be held so much into sycophants that you can't point out the mistakes of the government that you serve in. sometimes some of us who support Raila Odinga, there are some decisions that have been made within that political ecosystem, but we have held our reservations that we do not really agree with this, but we still support. So the whole scenario is the judiciary made its ruling. As Kenyans, the Kenyan people who support Raila Odinga, we said it's okay, we have complied even though we don't agree, life has moved on. But going forward also, we are not saying that all the part of the judgment that they made were wrong. But personally, as a person, I think I had an issue with the kind of language the judges use when they are rendering that ruling. Because it got to a point that I thought that they are doing so maybe to please the other team, or they could, because it was like an insult. They are really insulting us. This is hot air. And I got to think I did some comparison between the ruling of the Supreme Court and the ruling that was made sometimes back by the High Court on the BBI case. And when you look at the kind of language these judges were using against the petitioner at the Supreme Court, I think that language was uncalled for. They will have used a more judicial language that will at least be appealing to the public, so that when you leave the Supreme Court, you say at least justice has been served and the winning party has taken it, the day. But the kind of language they used, it does not build confidence in the judiciary of this country. It was uncalled for, it is archaic, and James Orengo told us even a chief baraza, a chief cannot use the kind of language that the Chief Justice Martha Koome used in the Supreme Court. As I finish, statements have been made here to suggest that Raila Odinga is fighting institutions all over. You know, these things, truth be told again, it just depends on which side you are standing. The other day, I think barely weeks ago, the Deputy President was fighting almost all the government independent institutions. At one point, he attacked the Chief Justice. He has attacked the DCI. It's true. Don't be surprised. You do your research. There's a time the Deputy President attacked the Chief Justice when she tried to bring up an there was an organization, I think
committee for the
a committee, yes, that was an integrated committee that was bringing on board all the set actors. And the Chebukati pulled out, and I saw the Deputy President call the Chief Justice in public that she's trying to meddle in the politics of the country, and she really used strong words against her. The Deputy President has accused the DCI, the Deputy President has accused almost all these institutions. So, and then, of course, the other day you have also seen Raila Odinga accuse the IEBC and the Supreme Court. So the general feeling is, if Raila Odinga has spoken about these institutions, if William Ruto has spoken about these institutions, these are respectable leaders. There must be something with these institutions. The Deputy President now, Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, as of yesterday, was also castigating the DCI, an independent office again.
I think we can listen in to what he said.
We can listen so that these guys can...
I said yesterday.
Of the harassment and intimidation governors have undergone through by state agencies. The level of extortion by detectives pretending to be fighting graft, whereas they were just extorting money from governors and officials, is a thing of the past. We have told DCI to go back to Kiambu Road and wait for crimes to be reported there. They have no business in government offices, hovering all over and creating a toxic environment for service delivery. We cannot have detectives in government offices because they poison the atmosphere and the environment for civil servants to deliver. So we are going to tell our security officers that they cannot send a junior police officer to go and harass and interrogate an elected governor. If there is an issue that needs to be addressed, as it should be, we are not saying we don't fight graft, but let us be decent people. Let us have respect for elected leaders. Let the head of that particular organization write a letter to the governor himself and not delegate to some junior officers to address a sitting governor, because that is not right. And those are the things that we are going to do to restore the dignity of our leaders, to enable them perform.
By Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, let me begin with Ngetich, and because we have less than even 8 minutes to conclude this session. You've heard what Rigathi Gachagua has talked about: harsh words, tough words. He's talking from experience. What do you make of those remarks by Gachagua?
Okay, Chris, I think those are not harsh words per se. We need to be honest, first as Kenyans, and also be honest. The leaders of this country also should be honest with themselves and with the people they lead. I want to comment first on the clip you played earlier about Raila Odinga.
Just quickly.
Just
less than 6 minutes.
Okay, very quickly. About Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga is known for this country. Just like my friend says, he has an history of fighting institutions, independent institutions. That is when they don't make a decision he doesn't agree with. I think before election, Raila Odinga had said that he will accept and congratulate the winner. Up to now, he has not congratulated the president. He also made a commitment to accept a Supreme Court ruling. And I'm wondering now, he's still castigating the judiciary, yet he had committed to accept the court ruling. What is happening? So he has a right as a Kenyan to disagree with the decision of the court. But that does not go towards bashing the judiciary with the words he's using. My friend and those people in Azimio say they have a problem with the language the Supreme Court used in rendering their decision. But the very important thing is, was the justice rendered? And that is which is very important. The justice was served. That is served to the Kenyan people. And these people are so much paradoxical in the way they conduct their things. They have a problem with the hot air description by the Supreme Court. And then Raila Odinga, the leader of Azimio, yesterday called the judgment shenzi, called the judicial shenzi. That is unexpected of a leader of Raila's caliber.
But I think also did so in 2017.
No. Who?
Allow
me. Just relax, Oleso. Two wrongs can never make a right, and you can never equate. Two words can never agree with right. In fact, President Uhuru Kenyatta just said he will revisit in 2017 after the Supreme Court nullified. He never used such words like shit.
Where were you? Were you not in Kenya? He said,
it does not mean I agreed with the president then.
No, but he said, that is what I want to do.
I didn't agree with it. So let us be honest. When you call out the judges for describing, but even personally, I don't see any problem with the language the judges use, because these people fabricated evidence. And when you fabricate something, you can describe it with anything. Like there is nothing like that, and that is an hot air. So, as the incoming government of William Ruto is consistent in whatever it is doing with what they promised on the campaign trail. What also said, he had called out Chief Justice Martha Karua when he was part of that multi-agency task force on election, because we were questioning the fairness of how the August 9 election was going to be handled. Yet the people who were sitting on that task force who had already taken sides. Remember that members of that task force was Karanja Kipicho, Matiang'i, ICT, the current ICCS Musheru, Chebukati, and these people, these three people are very senior influential people in government, had already sided with Azimio, and then you are saying they are planning election. That's why we had to call out. Chebukati, as independent, the leader of Independent Electoral Commission, had to pull out, and he went on to conduct the most transparent election ever happened in Kenya, and I dare say in the whole of Africa as a whole. So we are always consistent, and the government of William Ruto started on good foot, consistent in all they promise. What regard the deputy president was talking about yesterday, about the DCI, we have been consistent in calling out the DCI of using their power to persecute those political leaders who are not friendly to the regime, the current regime, the former regime, which was led by President Kenyatta. So we are saying what Deputy President was saying there yesterday, that we are letting the DCI do its role, and the commitment by the President himself that we are not going to use our criminal justice system or our public service to conduct politics. We leave the public servants to do their work. We leave the leaders of security agencies to do their work. That is why he is going ahead to make the police service independent and have their own budget, so that he can be able, so that they don't receive instructions from anyone else. They can be able, if they want to investigate, say Chris, for example, they'll come for you regardless of what position you hold in government. So we are consistent. There's nothing we are doing out of what we promised, what we said in campaign, and what we are doing now. Actually, we are committed to fulfill, God willingly, all the promises the government and Kenya Kwanza coalition promised to the Kenyan people. I think that is all.
Right. Chris, just briefly, after listening to Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, popularly now as Rigiji, you know, I would like to point out on Uhuru Kenyatta's legacy, you know, the former president. I'd summarize it into three. One is diplomacy, two is infrastructure, and three is abuse of independent offices. So on diplomacy, he has done well. On infrastructure, he has done inflated infrastructure. You know, it is for the first time in Africa we've seen kilometers being constructed in billions of shillings. But now I'll speak briefly for my people of Kakamega. Abuse of independent offices, particularly the police service. It is the most abused independent office. You realize that these are disciplined forces. They can't question orders from authority, you know. And there is this behavior that we have been experiencing in the last 7 years, where political leaders of contrary opinion are arrested on Fridays so that they can spend in police cells the whole weekend and come out maybe on Monday. For instance, Cleophas Malala just recently, police officers were sent to his residence to arrest him for, the police officers who were there, in fact, they did not know what they were there for. They did not know what they were to do with Cleophas Malala after arresting him. Probably they did not even know who had sent them. They were not in uniform. They were dressed in very funny attire, you know. And you realize that these police officers are hustlers. They are our brothers, they are our uncles, they are our sons, you know, our sisters. And it is unfortunate that they can be abused for what they were trained to do, you know. If you take a police officer who is supposed to be somewhere, like let's say Baragoi or somewhere, and you are sending him to your opponent's home to go and frustrate him. They were asked, they even don't know why they are there, they don't have an arrest warrant, they are there claiming that they have come on suspicion, you know. And realize what Rigathi Gachagua is saying, and you know, this is a former administrator, he knows what he's saying. We want to instill the dignity in the forces. You know, this is a source of income for our people. You know, a police officer also wants to go to work and feel dignified. Even if you are serving as an NYS, you go to work, but you know you'll not be abused by your seniors. But it's quite unfortunate that people who know nothing about the police force, people who are influential in the government, would want to use these officers for their own personal interest, you know. It is quite unfortunate. And we thank Rigathi Gachagua for what he has said. It might be unfortunate that he used somehow harsh words, but the goal intended to attain by using the words should be appreciated really from any side of the political divide. We should dignify our service, we should dignify the workforce from public service and particularly the police force and the judiciary too.
I'm told our time is up, so that's where we're going to wind up this particular discussion, because if we continue, we can still talk and talk until in the afternoon. Just so quickly as we also conclude, Douglas Oleso Odhiambo, political strategist, thank you so much. Keep to teaching it teach. As a political analyst as well as a youth advocate, thank you so much for making time this morning. And Felix Osonga is a youth representative and also a political commentator. Thank you so much for making time this morning, gentlemen, and hope we can have this discussion, quite a different one, because I know a lot will transpire through the next week. We can have this conversation next week on Friday, but for now it's a good morning, and we take a very short break, and when we come back, then we'll be switching gears to yet another segment of this show as we talk matters to do with Entertainment Friday, and we'll be interacting with Emmanuel Music in a short while. Don't go far away, but we are done.
Are you looking for a university that matches your drive and ambition? Choose ZTech University. We offer market-driven programs ranging from master's, bachelor's, diploma and certificate levels in the schools of ICT, Media and Engineering, Education, Arts and Social Sciences, and the School of Business and Economics. Enroll today for September 2022 intake and enjoy a vibrant student experience, ultra-modern and well-equipped facilities, experienced faculty, and a place to pursue your dreams and ultimately change the world. ZTech University. Invent your future.
The Presbyterian Teachers College Rubate is now offering training and upgrading of P1 and ECDE certificates to diploma, and hereby invites all applicants for the September 2022 intake in the following teacher education programs: Diploma in Early Childhood Teacher Education, DECTE, required grade discipline in KCSE. Upgrade of P1 certificates to diploma, upgrade of early childhood teacher education ECDE to diploma. The reporting dates are as from 12th September to 12th October 2022, with the option of part-time classes available. For more information, please contact the principal through 0701 508 503 or their office line on 0720 312 021 and 0711 185 283.
Good journalism is bold, in-depth, unique, captivates, reflects, and impacts. To quench your thirst for exceptional stories that are about you, from you, and for you, Kirk TV presents itself as the hub of feature stories. Ranging from health and environment,
either there is extreme drought or extreme floods, and these will affect people.
Religion and politics.
And the man looked at the boy, looked at the mother, and told the boy, going forward, don't wet the bed again.
There come a time when the nation is more important than an individual.
Education and socio-economic issues.
Nasaidika kwa sababu nikishona moja mbili nauza, napata kitu ya kulisha watoto.
I have met with other tribes which I have never met before.
To other stories that touch on your day-to-day life.
Njaa ndio iko mingi zaidi. Tafadhali mnisaidia maji ya nyazi.
Tingatinga amekanyanga kila kitu.
Hatujawahi kuona mabadiliko yote kuhusiana na serikali ya kujengea sisi.
Kwanza kitu naweza omba tu nishikiliwe tu pande ya masomo tu ya watoto.
Kirk TV, the hub of feature stories.
Losing a beloved one can be one of the hardest life experiences. Death brings a total change in many setups, the family taking a huge position. Death also provides an opportunity to celebrate the departed and their achievements on earth. Kirk TV provides for you an opportunity to announce death and funeral at affordable fee. For more information, write to us via announcements at kirktv.org or call 011 00 90 647.
Where there is no vision, the people perish.
You'll find people talking about saying, we discussed this for the last 5 meetings or for the last 2 years or 3 years, but nothing seems to move.
Here on Effective Manager, we help you get leadership and managerial tips.
You cannot be popular in the workplace as a leader. You can only be respected because of being fair and providing leadership.
Strategy and board advisory.
You do not need to put in unnecessary and undue pressure.
Stimulate new ideas in leadership and management.
You get an opportunity to bring diverse views and ideas to a problem so that you can be able to identify a lasting solution.
You can't afford to miss The Effective Manager with Dr. David Muturi, Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. only on Kirk TV.
Families should be the epitome of love. But in recent times, this seems like a dream, because all we're witnessing is rape cases, high divorce rates, betrayal, and even murder.
So you have to protect her.
You say maintaining marriages because
there are also many who are going through issues in their marriages and they can't run to anybody.
The issue of killing, the issue of murder seem to be on the rise.
And that is why we bring you Transforming Families, where we are all about just that, transforming families.
Wakenya ni wapenda kazi na kila siku wapo mbioni kuchapa kazi. Kipindi cha Kazi na Mali ni rafiki, swahiba na kipenzi cha wachapakazi wote. Si jua kali tu. Kilimo shambani.
Kusema kweli, nguruwe ni wazuri.
Madini ya protein kwa huyu snail iko juu sana.
Biashara sokoni. Wajasiriamali wa aina zote, sanaa, wasanii. Guess what? It is business. Tunatembea nawe kila hatua ya uvumbuzi na ubunifu wako ili kujikimu na kukimu uchumi wa taifa. Kazi na Mali, sisi ndisi, Kirk TV, hapa ndipo.
Siku yetu muhimu, harusi yetu, uwepo wenu nyote. Kwetu ni kitu, kwetu ninyi ni ndugu, leo na kesho.
Harusi maua, ngari ngari wanapendeza.
Leo ni furaha, shangwe na furaha.
Harusi maua, tabasamu, suti na shela.
Wacha tufurahi, sote tufurahi. Siti, siti, siti. Haikuwa rahisi tufike my baby leo hii. Na hapa tulipo, ndio siku yetu ipo muhimu ya harusi.
ithagio Ngai niguka mbere yaku ndwagĩrwo nĩwe ũguoyo hage gũcakwa ikumenye nĩwe gwera nĩkĩo ngũka mbere yaku ndayagĩrwo nĩwe nĩguo gũcakwa ikumenye nĩwe gwera akuĩ nawe nĩho niĩ gwera Ngai akuĩ nawe nĩho niĩ gwera akuĩ nawe nĩho niĩ gwera Ngai akuĩ nawe nĩho niĩ gwera hakuhĩ nawe nĩho gwera makĩria tondũ nĩũheaga hinya Ngai tĩrĩre rũcinĩ ndokĩra ũheaga hinya wa gũkĩra ũkanjĩkĩra rwĩmbo ta tũnyoni twa rĩera-inĩ gũgũcokera ngatho ciakwa Ngai tondũ ndirĩ no ngetiga we atĩ gũgũcokera ngatho Ngai hakuhĩ nawe ndĩmakĩria mamothe hakuhĩ nawe nĩho niĩ gwera Ngai hakuhĩ nawe nĩho niĩ gwera hakuhĩ nawe nĩho niĩ gwera Ngai hakuhĩ nawe nĩho niĩ gwera
Purchase your tracks today.
Wazazi nao umenipa kunilea vema, asante Baba, nami nashukuru tu, umenionyesha kwamba kweli Mungu yupo. Sasa najua kwamba yupo milele, najua upo, najua upo, najua upo, nami najua upo, najua upo. Shadiraki, Meshaki na Abednego waliporushwa kwenye moto hawakugua, walijua upo. Na mimi leo naomba nguvu zako pia na uwezo, najua upo, hautaniacha kamwe, najua upo, najua upo, najua upo, nami najua upo, najua upo, najua upo, najua upo, najua upo.
All right. Welcome back again. In case you're joining us live right now, we're joining by Emmanuel Music. Takuaje baba?
Poa sana baba.
Uko fiti?
Niko fiti kabisa.
Good to see you this morning.
Thank you.
And great that you made to come here. Kwanza tuna hiyo ngoma yenye imetoka.
Najua upo.
Najua upo na kuna hiyo yenye ilitangulia
hakuhe nawe.
Hakuhe nawe.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Tuambie.
Mwanzo naweza sema nashukuru Mungu kwa kunifikisha mahala hapa. Hiyo wimbo ambao imeimbwa ya kwanza inasema hakuhe nawe Ngai, inamaanisha kwa Kiswahili inasema karibu nawe Mungu ndio mimi nataka kuwa. So nikaitranslate kwa Kikuyu. Nasema hakuhe nawe neho niĩ gwenda Ngai, hakuhe nawe neho niĩ gwenda, hakuhe nawe neho niĩ, yani nataka kuwa karibu nawe kila wakati na kila saa. Now then hii ya pili nasema najua upo. Najua upo. Najua upo. God anaishi, ana exist. Ni vile unajua sasa sijui watu wasemanga wengine wanasema hayupo, lakini in my life mimi nimemuona. Na ndio maana mimi nikakamna hiyo wimbo through nikasema najua yupo. Kama anatupenda kila asubuhi tunaamka na through challenges zile ambazo tumepitia na ile tukilala tukiamka yeye ndio hutuwezesha. So mimi najua tu yupo. Yeah.
Tuongee about your music, na pia kuna mtu maybe anakuona mara ya kwanza nasema Emmanuel Music nimemuona leo.
Yeah.
Emmanuel Music kwa mtu ambaye haja kukuona, kwa mtu ambaye ajue muziki wako, unaweza sema Emmanuel Music ni nani?
Emmanuel Music ni kijana ambaye ameokoka. Ametoka upande wa Uthiru. Mahali panaitwa Gitwamba. Na nimezaliwa na wazazi wawili. Ndiye baba anaitwa Wycliffe Oloch, mamangu naye anaitwa Mary Wanjiru Ngugi. Na wakaweza pia kufanikiwa nikawa na brothers na sisters. Sistangu anaitwa Sharon, ako upande wa Lebanon, na brothangu ako sasa nyumbani, walikuwa wamefunga shule, so najua hata yako nyumbani anaitwa James Ngoge. Na mimi niseme kwa wale ambao wanijui kwa mara ya kwanza, mimi ni msanii wa nyimbo za kumtukuza Mungu, na pia mimi hucheza instruments. Naweza nipata nikicheza gitaa, na nipata nikicheza pia keyboard, na pia wakati mwingine na drum. So maybe wamekama across hii sura mahali, lakini sometimes mimi utoa hizi shades. Unajua nikiwa nazo hawezi nijua sana, lakini nikiwa hivyo unajua wengi wananifahamu. Kwa sababu pia nimekuwa tuseme kwa muziki nilianza kuimba kitambo, but ni vile sasa ndio nimefunguka at least nina platforms zinapatikana hapa na pale. So mimi nashukuru tu Mungu kwa yote.
Tuanze umesema hapo sasa ndio muziki inaanza kufunguka. Let's talk about muziki yako. Ulianza kuimba lini na ndio ukaamua sasa nataka kuingia gospel na nianze kuimba ngoma za gospel?
Okay, ile time mimi nilianza kuimba nikiwa high school form 2. That was in 2015. And sikuwa ifikiria nitakuja kuimba. Actually nilianza kucheza instruments tulikuwa na CU, so kwa shule yetu walikuwa na hire keyboards and stuff. So siku moja mimi nikasema nitacheza keyboard, na nikaanza kucheza keyboard, of which sikuwa jua nitakuja kurekodi wimbo. Tukiwa kwa CU kuna jamaa tulikuwa tunafanya naye muziki. Nafikiria kwa wimbo wangu ambao nimeimba, wimbo ambao unasema nimepokea baraka za Sagod, nafikiria itakuja baadaye. Huo wimbo tulikuwa tumekaa chini na kijana tulikuwa naye kwa shule. Akatoa mstari, nikatoa mistari. Nikicheza tu keyboard nikasikia ninaweza tengeneza beats na keyboard na tuimbe. So nikaanza hivyo, nikaenda studio moja ambayo inaitwa Resurrection Star Records, iko upande wa Gitaru. So tukaenda pale tukakaa chini na producer akatuambia tuingia kwa booth, tusikie vile ambavyo mna rhyme na 1 2 3. So nikaingia kwa booth, tukafanya muziki wa kwanza, lakini hiyo haikumake at that time. Tukafanya muziki wa pili, pia haikufanya vizuri at that time. But sasa wakati nianza kufanya vizuri, nikaingia studio 2017, 2019, 2020. Sasa ndio nimeanza kuingia studio fully, ndio niachilie sasa muziki isikike sasa, na message ambayo niko nayo isikike. So naweza sema nilianza muziki nikiwa form 2, nikija hivyo. So 2020 hapo ndo sasa nimeanza kuachilia muziki sasa. Nasikika manze, huyo ni Manu. Unajua kuna ile kutoa muziki
na kusikika
sasa. Alafu pia kuna sauti nini. Unajua unaanza ukiwa chini, but ukijua industry vizuri, unakuja ukisoma 1 2 3 sauti, beats nini kuzifuata. Nikakuja hivyo pole pole, na sasa ndio mimi hapa nimefika.
Na nashukuru God pia juu muziki yako imeanza kupenya. Umesema ulitoa muziki ya kwanza ikakataa, ya pili muziki ya kwanza yenye ulitoa ni gani? Kama unaikumbuka.
Sasa hii niko na album 2. Ile muziki ya kwanza yenye nilitoa, nilikuwa fikiria ilikuwa nasema we glorify your name, but tuko naimba in reggae style. So we glorify your name cause is great Lord, we glorify your name. Iye kakata
kakata kabisa kupenya
kakata kupenya. Tukafanya nyingine inasema asante, na sijui kama nitakumbuka lyrics, but ziko kwenye
album yako ya
kwenye
kwanza,
album yangu ya kwanza. Na zilikataa juu nilikuwa na kuna hiyo we glorify, kuna Daddy God mimi nataka penzi lako milele, of which hiyo sasa sahi zile muziki nafanya at that time nilikuwa naimba alafu tuna rap. But now ile mundo ya hiyo wakati na ya saa hii ni tofauti kwa sababu kuna wakati nimefanya hii muziki ya baraka, nimepokea baraka za Sir God, kuna place nyingine na rap. So nikienda kuimba kwa kanisa unasikia mama wanaimba chorus lakini huko kwingine wananyamaza. Of which hapo ndo nikajifunza unafaa kuimba wimbo ambao
na cut across, unaenda
tu direct. Kama ukisikiza hiyo ambao nimeimba najua upo, hata mtu mwingine akikewe wimbo unaweza pelekana na uimbe the same thing naimba. But sasa nikiimba alafu nifike mahali kwa kurapu na nyamaza, unaona. Alafu tena siundi muziki kwa sababu ya vijana ama ya mtu personally, naunda kwa sababu ya kila mtu. Inaweza imbwa na mtoto mdogo, inaweza imbwa na kanisani, inaweza imbwa na mama, mtu mzee. So hapo ndo nikaanza kujifunza vitu kidogo kidogo hivyo pole pole. So zile za kwanza zilikataa kabisa. But
transition pia ya muziki, hebu tusikize yako Baraka alafu turudi tena tuendelee. Baraka.
Yeah.
Kagumo nimepokea baraka za Sago, baraka za Sago, nimepokea baraka za Sago, baraka za Sago, nimepokea baraka za Sago, baraka za Sago, nimepokea baraka za Sago, baraka za Sago. Baraka kapokea, sina mambo na viraka, kwa ligi kanitoa hata ya kuhata nilikuwa busy sana, niko able through my hands now niko able, nidhani eti mini unable, the day I met him nikakuwa able, yeah nikakuwa able him, yeah mighty God. Nimepokea baraka za Sago, baraka za Sago, nimepokea baraka za Sago, baraka za Sago, nimepokea baraka za Sago, baraka za Sago, nimepokea baraka za Sago, baraka za Sago. Nilikuwa zero na ama hero, baraka amenipa sio eti zero, yeka ni make me kuwa hii zero. Nilikuwa down sasa niko up, thanks to the most high, yeah aliye up milele tamu, trust.
Nimepokea baraka za Sago.
Hiyo ndo ngoma unasema.
Hiyo sasa nilifanya that time na bado unaona sasa hata nasahau mistari kwa sababu tulikuwa tuna rap alafu unaandika mistari unaandika tu, unaenda studio unaifanya. Alafu sasa ujue nina nyimbo mingi hizo za kurap, of sasa nilianza kutoka kwa kurap sana kuja pande nyingine ndio nitoshanishe ratiri. Juu nikirap sana kuna wazazi wetu kuna wengine hawaelewi zile vitu ambazo tunaimba kwa ndani. So na pia mimi usikiza mzazi wangu, mamangu akiniambia hii wimbo ambao unafanya ifanye hivi, ndio hata mimi wakati mwingine nikitakwenda mahali naweza ukipresent naweza kuja tu present pamoja. So nikaamua badala ya kurap sana wacha nitoke kwa kurap sana niimbe sasa ikiwa fluent, hii flow yani. Ndio yule mtu mwenye hawezi kurap na whatever tunaweza endana naye, lakini hizo ambazo nina rap unajua pia zina message fulani kwa youth, kwa mayouth, kwa wale wanaelewa mistari pia. So siwezi sema ni mbaya, but mimi ni rapper pia na rapingi, lakini kwa saa hii si rap sana kwa sababu ya wazazi wetu.
Umefocus na muziki fulani. Wewe kama msanii hiyo time yote yenye umeimba, experience yako kama msanii imekuwa vipi, especially msanii wa gospel hapa Kenya?
Mimi naweza sema for now sometimes watu wengi husema mimi kama okay, wacha nijitumie. Watu wengi usema now mimi I'm not in industry, niko kwa ministry. Cause nikiwa kwa industry hakuna kitu siwezi fanya. Naweza imba gospel, naweza imba secular, naweza fanya hizo vitu zote, but for now kwangu iko tofauti. Juu mimi nasema niko kwa ministry. Na ukiwa kwa ministry unapatanga changamoto nyingi sana. Moja ikiwa ni kama platform upati. Mwanzo kabisa ni pesa. Kama hauna pesa huwezi fanya hata video, huwezi fanya project yote, uende studio, uende audio, studio produce, na pia uisukume ifike to a certain point umetoa video. Ya pili ni tuseme kama hauna message kwa muziki yako. Kuchukua ipatianwe kwa TV ama kwa radio. Kwanza mwanzo unajua ndio iweko pale kwa TV, lazima wasikize message yako ni video content ya hiyo video inakaaje, picha zake ziko sawa. Kuna mtu aliniambia siku moja, kuna wakati nilikuwa nipeleka muziki yangu ya kwanza kabisa, hata nafikiri hiyo video niliitoa YouTube nilipeleka akaniambia wimbo yako iko sawa kabisa, beats na kila kitu ziko sawa, sauti iko sawa, lakini kitu moja umefanya nini, video umefanya nilifanyia huko mashinani. Unajua sasa zingine tunaangalianga mahali ambapo kama siko kimfuko vizuri nitaenda kutoa video yenye quality yake iko low quality. So mimi nikatoa nikaweka YouTube na nikaanza kuisukuma. Nikachukua nikapeleka mahali nikasema nisaidieni tu tuisukume, tuimarket huko. Kaniambia now labda sasa tu utoe pesa nyingine tukupeleke studio yenye iko juu, kwa sababu hata hii quality hii muziki ni kama ulikuwa unaimba uko mbele, ingine uko nyuma, editing yake iko poa. Alafu pia video yake ukiweka kwa nini na kama manyunyu mvua. So kambo hiyo iwezi. So sisi uvunjika roho, unasema hata hiyo muziki acha ikae. But ukiwa kwa ministry ukifocus, God will come through. Na mimi naweza kuambia I can attest to that, because mimi nikianza sikuwa nafikiria hata nitafika to a certain point nimekaa kwa studio, watu wako nyumbani wananitazama kwenye television. Sikuwa ifikiria. Na mimi usema nguvu za God hakuna mtu yote anaweza, akisema ni wewe ni wewe. Akisema ni leo ni leo. Juu at that time nikianza muziki kuna watu walikuwa nakuja wananiambia, manze sauti yako umeenda studio, umeimba, producer anafanya tu hivi, akitoa hiyo muziki hapo akipeleka huko nje. Bro, unacheka unashangaa nilifanya wapi makosa. Ukirudi ukimwambia nakwambia hii iko sawa. Kuna tutaweka kitu hapo. Haya, unaenda unatafuta mistari. Sasa zingine ile chenye unaimba na chenye tuseme umeimba chorus haipelekani hata na verse. Unaona hizo ni vitu mbili tofauti. Unachukua muziki unaenda kuperform kwa makanisa zingine. Ukitoka hapo hata makofi manzi hakuna. Unatoka umejipigia tu makofi. So unafika mahali, alafu pia uko chini kwa grassroots unapatanga una mabeshte. Patio muziki kwa beshte yako anakuambia uwezi. Wachana tu na muziki. Ama maybe umepata juu mimi mabeshte wangu wengi ni sahi, at least niko na gospel artist. Tunatembeaga na wao na tunafanya 1 2 3. Kitambo nilikuwa napatana na watu wa secular na mimi ni wa gospel. Anakuambia wewe hama kwa gospel kuja kwa secular. So unaona enyewe, alafu kuna pia unajua industry. Acha nirudi kwa industry uko nje unajua ni story na dot. Juu kama sasa muziki zangu kuna mtu wale niuliza tukiweza kuita kwa bao unaweza kuja. Nikamwambia naweza kuja, but with niko na limits zangu. Kitu ya kwanza nikikuja siwezi kuja kuimba nyimbo zangu. Hizi si nyimbo za bar. Hizi za kanisa. But kama ni kucheza live, hiyo ni sawa. Juu I'm after something. Unaona? But sasa kama ni muziki zangu hakuna sina ile grace. Lazima ni balance
ministry na kujitafutia
riziki. So ya riziki iko kando na nyimbo zangu. So nikaonelea ni vizuri nifanye tu muziki ya gospel, niachane tu na
tuongelee because naambiwa tuko na dakika kiasi hivi. Tuongelee about wewe kama msanii umepitia umeona hizo challenges zote zenye zimekuwa na zikasonga mbele. Wewe kama msanii nini unaweza sema imekushikilia yenye pia unaweza ambia mtu mwingine itamshikilia kwa especially kwa ministry?
Mimi husema you focus straight to the point. You believe in yourself. Kitambo nilikuwa nasema you believe, you behave and become. But niko na behavior, unaweza kuwa na behavior nzuri na ukose ku believe in yourself na ukose hata ku become. But mimi before nianze muziki niliacha kwanza kusikiza watu. Kama wewe ni msanii na umekaa pale nyumbani na unanitazama, kitu cha kwanza ukifanya kitu, sasa nikichukua kamera niweke mbele hivi, haiwezi piga picha kando, itapiga mbele. So ita focus straight to the point yenye umeangalisha. So mimi waambia watu, if you believe in yourself, ukijiamini naweza fanya, usiangalie mtu, usisikize watu. Juu watu lazima wataongea. Kama walipiga Stefano na mawe, hakuna mtu wezi nafikiria ni wachache sana wanaweza ku-encourage na wengi ndio wataku-discourage. So mimi waambia mtu, you believe in yourself, you behave and you will become whatever you want in life. So mtu yule ako pale anataka kurekod, unasikia sauti yako ni mbaya, fanya practice day in day out. Fanya practice, usisikize watu. Mtu akikwambia sauti yako mbaya, kunywa maji ya ndimu. Kunywa maji ya ndimu na uendelee na ministry. Juu hiyo ndio kazi ngumu. Juu mimi husema kila mtu ako na talanta na kila mtu alipewa taji ya kufanyia kitu fulani. Wewe saa hii wewe ni host, umeni host. Mimi siwezi kazi yako na mimi siwezi kazi yangu. Maybe unaweza imba but now uwezi ile kazi yenye mimi hufanya hapo nini. Yule ako na kamera, yule ako na gitaa, yule anafanya nini? Usiingie kwa jiko ya mtu yule mwingine. Juu siwezi zote, unaona? Na ndio maana pastor hizi hubiri kwa kanisa, atukue awe ni anaimba, awe ni anahubiri, awe ni anafanya ushering, yeye ndiye unaona, hawezi. Na ndio maana Mungu akatupatia talanta tofauti. So yule mtu ako pale nyumbani, kama unanisikiza, kama una wimbo, enda andika, enda studio, enda record. Na usisikize mtu. Kama uko pale unafanya kazi zingine, maybe wewe ni dereva na unaonanga talanta yako ni kuendesha gari, enda kwa driving school. Jifunze hiyo gari ukiwa na passion, ukiwa passionate, ukiwa na kitu hiyo mwito, unaweza toboa. But saa zingine zinafanyanga watu wengine nasemanga mimi nikifanya siwezi, sijui, but practice makes perfect.
Na tukimalizia swali ya mwisho, na hiyo swali huwa nauliza kila msanii akikuja hapa. Msanii mgani Kenya ambao unaweza penda kufanya muziki na yeye?
Collabo. Mimi kutoka kitambo nilipenda mtu ambaye anaitwa Guardian Angel. Guardian Angel ukiangalia flow yake kutoka mwanzo grassroots mpaka sasa hivi mahali amefika, manze ni star. Na ukisikiza nyimbo zake zingine hata anafanya covers. They are so powerful. Juu zingine hata sisi huenda kufanya covers nje na zinaingia tu vizuri. So Guardian Angel ndio naweza sema Guardian Angel. Alafu sasa kuna jamaa anaitwa Alpha Mwanamtule. Alpha na David Wanda. Ukiwasikiza sauti zao, vocals zao ziko tamu sana. Alafu kuna jamaa ulihost hapa last time anaitwa Barnabas. Manze, mimi nasikizanga sauti. Hatari. Alafu pia zile rhymes zake unasikiza unasema una nyimbo unaweza sikiza, by the way, kando na zile za haraka na nini, kuna ngoma unaweza sikiza ya slow song. Hata kama ulikuwa na mfanya kitu, tutafanya kitu. Na tumefanya, by the way, kitu tuliwahi fanya inatango Kikuyu mashup, iko pale kwenye YouTube. So tumefanya naye kitu of which tunapika kitu, tukiachilia lazima tuileta hapa, tutakuja hapa na tuachilie, tuambie watu ndio hii kazi yetu sasa. Of which mimi upendezwa na zile slow songs cause they heal. Yeah.
Alright, na tukimalizia, watu wanataka kukuocha wanaweza kupata wapi? Your social, where can they get your music, na pia wakitaka kukutafuta?
So mimi kwa mwanzo kuna ile namba mimi upeana. Mtu yote anaweza taka kuwa nafunzaga keyboard wakati mwingine ama gitaa. So kuna ile namba mimi upeana na hiyo ni purposely kwa ya kazi peke yake. So ni 0791 610 252 0791 610 252. Unaweza nipata kwenye YouTube najita Emmanuel Music ya MUSIQ. Kwa Facebook najita Emmanuel Okwiri. TikTok ni Emmanuel Music. Instagram Okwiri. Okwiri 89. Hizo zingine unaweza andika tu Emmanuel Music zitajileta, mimi aziletangi na ni CRC ni ya Q. Ukiweka tu Q mwisho unapata hii sura kabisa.
Okay.
Yeah.
Na hapo ndo tunamaliza, sijui producer atasema tumalize na ngoma gani yako?
Tunaweza maliza na Thegio Guy kwa sababu Thegio Guy ni kusema asante Mungu. Kupata hata hii chance, it is not for si mikono yangu. Na nilikuwa nimetumwa na salamu. Sijui kama hiyo
toa tu salamu.
Tutawasalimia tu tukimaliza haraka. Watu wote wa Uthiru, Adodhero, nilikuwa nimetumwa na salamu nao. Msalimike. Juu siwezi wasalimia wote. But my mom, Mary Wanjiro Ngoge, akiwa pale Uthiru, Getuamba, asalimike. Jimmy Ngoge na watu wote wa PCA Rongere pia wasalimike. Na Maureen Nyambura akiwa Lebanon, nafikiria na watch live. Sharon akiwa pia Sharon akiwa Lebanon, Nyambura akiwa Saudia. Mbarikiwe sana na wengine wote ambao sijasalimia, tafadhali msinipige tukitoka hapa, ni masaa imekuwa ndogo.
Masaa ndo machache, mambo ni mengi.
Mambo ni mengi. Tukitoka hapa tunaenda kazi zingine. Najua nyinyi wote ambao umekuwa mkinitazama, watu ambao ni Uthiru Rescue Team, msalimike, na community health volunteer wa Uthiru pia wasalimike.
Alright.
Hao ni watu ambao wananishikilianga sana. Yeah.
Take it away. Tucheze thank you alafu tukimaliziaga. So hapo ndo tunamalizia, we end up this show, and this has been Kirk in the Morning. See you next week on Friday for the same show, but on Monday Kirk in the Morning starts with health and item on that. Good morning.
Jokera garushine gaturia maruma kwa garora matwine todo noko hinya wakwa ukiuma. Thank you God. Nikiondo ya kainda gaka juge ni thegio Ngai, thegio Nikiongo ya kainda gaka njuge ni thegio Ngai, thegio thegio Ngai, tododore wadirika, thegio Ngai, tododono gagionenye, thegio Ngai, tododore wadirika, thegio Ngai, tododono gagionenye. Oheaga gya kuria kunywa na kwihumba, nikiongoka mbere yaku njuge ni thengio. Ohete mugambo raramage ando makomenye, uria utatигanageria ciana ciaku. We ukahe hinya na ukahe uhoti, ndwagirire bara ciakwa ciothe. We ukahe hinya na uhoti, ukandwirira bara ciakwa ciothe. Thegio Ngai, thegio Ngai, thegio Ngai, todo donoga gionenye. Thegio Ngai, thegio Ngai, thegio Ngai, todo donoga gionenye. Thegio Ngai, todo dore wadirika, thegio Ngai, todo donoga gionenye. Thegio Ngai, todo dore wadirika.